Shalom. Today we're going to learn about Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaZikaron לחיילי צה"ל. Naturally, this being one of the new chimes in the חגים החדשים. I don't know if it's exactly a chag or not a chag, but it's a date in the Jewish calendar nowadays. It's a modern date in the Jewish calendar. And we want to see what's the value, what's the meaning, what is this day about, what's happening here. So let's try and, first of all, we'll try and unravel, explain slightly about the concept of Zikaron. And Be'ezrat Hashem, after we try slightly touch on this topic of Zikaron, what Zikaron is all about, we'll try and see, so what is Yom HaZikaron about? What is this all about? First of all, originally in Jewish sources, we already have a day called Yom HaZikaron. If we say Levy, then one of the holidays is called Yom HaZikaron. That's Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is called Yom HaZikaron because of one of the psukim describing Rosh Hashanah in the Torah, saying it's Zichron Truah. So we see that there's a special thing there about Zikaron. If we want to understand, so what does this mean? What does it mean that Rosh Hashanah is Yom HaZikaron? So let's take, we'll get back to that in a moment. We just said now, Pesach, Rosh Chodesh, we said Ya'aleh v'yavo, Zichronenu ufikdonenu. The two concepts, what is this thing? Ya'aleh v'yavo, v'yagia, v'yira'eh, v'yiratze, v'yishama, v'yipaked, v'yizacher. Zichronenu ufikdonenu. What is the Zichronenu? What does it mean? וזיכרון משיח בן דוד עבדיך, וזיכרון ירושלים מקודשך, וזיכרון כל עמך בית. There's a zikaron of each one of these terms. Each one of these, we have our zikaron, and our fathers have, and Jerusalem has, and the Mashiach has. Each one's got a zikaron. What is the zikaron? Together with the zikaron, there's another concept that comes, which is pkida, pikadon, zichronenu u fikdonenu. Those of us who manage in the mornings, when you say the Akedah, which is actually what we say, the prayer before the Akedah, it's also a prayer that we say as part of the Amida Musaf of Rosh Hashanah in Birkat Zichronot. We say, Elokeinu ve'Elokei avotenu, zochreinu b'zikaron tov lefanecha, ufokdeinu b'fkudat Yeshua ve'rachamim. So there also we pray in zochreinu b'zikaron tov lefanecha, and that's part of the whole blessing. One of the three special brachot of Rosh Hashanah is this topic of Zikaron, of Zichronot. Rav Kook, in his commentary to the Sidur, in Olat Re'aya, explains the difference between Zikaron and Pikadon. First of all, explains what Zikaron is, and then what Pikadon is. He says Zikaron has got to do mipnei ha'erech hagadol shebedavar. Zikaron's got to do to the great value something has, regardless of the way that thing appears in the world. It means, if we go back to Ya'aleh v'yavo again, so we say Zichronenu, what is the value of Am Yisrael? Zichron Avotenu, what is the value of the Avot? Zichron Yerushalayim Mikodshecha, what is Jerusalem about? What's the essence of Jerusalem? What's the essence, the meaning of Mashiach? So when we speak about memory, we're not speaking about, do you remember in the past there was something and everything was... That's not that. We speak about what is the value, what is the original value of the topic we're speaking about. That's the zikaron, the zecher. Okay, that's why in many places that come throughout the whole of Judaism, we're dealing with zikaron the whole time. Zecher l'maaseh bereshit, zikaron l'yetziat Mitzrayim, so many things. Each one of those things that is zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim, it means it's what is the essence of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Remember the essence of Yetziat Mitzrayim that is connected to what's happening here. But anyway, okay, let's go back again. So we try to say that Zikaron is got to do with the essence of something. And then there's another term. The other term is called Pkida. Pkida's got to do according to the value of whatever that is. Let's now see what should happen to it in reality. Okay, how should God... What are the next things that need to happen in order to lead this essence to what it should be, what it's all about? Okay, so that's the concept of Zikaron. I'm not saying that when originally ever said that today is going to be, that Yom HaZikaron is going to be Yom HaZikaron, that's exactly what they thought about. But nevertheless, I think that's what's the essence of it. So we have Yom Hazikaron, and Yom Hazikaron, we had Yom Hazikaron LaShoah ולגבורה, and it was slightly more complicated. We just saw sort of an aspect of it, trying to understand what is the essence of the Shoah and the Gvura. Okay, that's a little bit of a, never mind the fact that they connected those things together. Maybe they connected, but not in the way that originally in the state of Israel they want to connect those two terms together. Never mind, let's leave that aside in the meantime. And we've got Yom HaZikaron LeChayalei Tzahal. So we want to speak about the essence of Chayalei Tzahal. So we could look at this, the essence of Chayalei Tzahal, of the Chalalei Tzahal, the people that were killed in this battle for the state of Israel. We could look at it, the two levels, or two basic levels to look at it. First of all, each individual, each one of these people, of these Jewish people, of these Jewish neshamot, and some non-Jews also. Each one had an essence. Each one had a neshama. Whoever this person was, whoever this person is, that's what it's about. I mean, clearly, we all understand when we speak about Yom HaZikaron. Right, it would be very peculiar if we arrived at a Azkara somewhere, and then at the Azkara, someone would be speaking and say, listen, whoever this person we're speaking about, his ears, the shape of his ears were amazing. And his cheekbones, wow, it's like we so much miss, and his shoulder, or his belly button, or would be very embarrassed if we heard something like that. What do people speak about when they do Azkarot? They speak about the personality, about the values, about who was this, or what kind of, how does his neshama appear in the world, not physically, but in its actions, in its attributes, in its personality. Okay, it's something all together. Okay, so naturally, we speak, we see that's what happens. People speak about the essence of what we're remembering. It's interesting on those lines to say that one of Tzvi Yehuda's wife passed away. I think so in the funeral. I need to check it up. Okay, but Rabbi Tzvi Yehuda said she was so beautiful. Then people said, what? But that's you'd expect him to speak about the midot or stuff like that. But that's because that beauty is not going to do with a certain aspect. Beauty's got to do with harmony. Harmony's got to do when things fit together. The different aspects of what we're looking at. And more so often when we speak about human beings, it's got to do with the connection between their appearance and their personality and their neshama, because beauty has got to do with harmony, with things fitting into place, with things belonging to each other. Okay, when things are out of place, if you try and create some kind of take pictures of a few good-looking people and try and take the eyes from one, the mouth from another, the nose from someone else, it will look like ghosts. Okay, even if you just change the eyes or the ears, something like that, it will normally look terrible because it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong. It's looking bad. Okay, but that's just a side comment over here. It's got to do with it slightly, because the beauty's got to do when the zecher, when the zikaron, when the essence appears externally, when the essence actually appears in the way this person loves. Okay, but that's, so we said Zikaron, it's got to do with the essence of it. And we've got Yom HaZikaron LeChayalei Tzahal, we've got each one of these individuals was a certain person, had a certain personality, had a certain character. But there's another aspect to each one of these people. There's another aspect to this day, to these people we're speaking of, is that they all belong to this one title. There's one title above them all. Yom HaZikaron LeChayalei Tzahal v'Marachot Israel. They all belong in one way or another to the fact that we've got a state here. Part of it is a struggle pre-state. Part of it is now that we have a state, and to the price we paying in order to maintain the state, to originally build it and then maintain the state afterwards. So there's an aspect in their zecher, in their zikaron, in their value, in their essence, which is something slightly more general. And this brings us to a question of what is this thing that is, don't like the word in here exactly, but anyway, I'm going to say it this way. What is this thing that is worth so many lives? So what is this thing that we, I don't know if we're willing to pay this price for, but we forced to pay this price for, and we say that, yeah, we'll pay this price and have it, and not give up, and not have it. Obviously, would prefer not have to pay this kind of price, but because it demands this kind of price, we're prepared to do that. So the question is, what is that? What is this essence? So first of all, we could say, yes, someone saw a video somewhere not long ago of one of the Arab Knesset members claiming that the most unsafe place for Jews in the world is the state of Israel, because since the beginning of the struggle for the land of Israel, we now count 24,000, I can't remember the exact number, need to check to see the exact number of how many casualties we've had that we remember them on Hazikaron Chayalei Tzahal. And compared to that, he says, in the outside of Israel, since the establishment of the state of Israel, only, I gave a number that's a few years ago, 400 and something Jews were murdered. I don't know, because of them being Jewish or something like that. So you could say, listen, this is crazy. What, you're willing to pay nearly, I don't know, 50 times more just in order to have the state of Israel? This is crazy. This is a murder or something like that. But it's those facts are slightly problematic. Why are those facts problematic? Because the price we paid for being Jewish before there was a state of Israel was way higher. Okay, we just had last week Yom HaZikaron HaShoah V'Hagvura, and I'll just say in between that also when we count the amount of people that died for Ma'arachot Israel, we also count people that died in those years fighting for the state of Israel. So then it's we'll probably never reach the numbers that died without being in Israel, kind of thing, because they were Jewish or anything like that. But that's the case. So we could say, why are we willing to pay this price? Because that's the cheaper price. We've got two options. We can either be paying millions or thousands. So we're prepared to pay thousands. That's so we could say, okay, that's what it's about. It's about Jewish existence, and Jewish existence, the cheaper price, the better deal we've got is being in Israel, and that's what it's all about. Okay, so that could be one option to explain why we're willing to pay such a, on one hand it's a high price, but there's a way higher price for the next door item kind of thing. So we doing that could be one aspect. But I think we need to understand it slightly beyond that. What do we need a state for? So again, okay, so we need a state in order to be safe. But a state is something that is needed for a nation. An individual, he has a house, he has an estate, okay, but he doesn't need to have a state of his own, doesn't have to have a medina, doesn't need to go through all of that. What do we need a medina for? What do we need a state? That's for a nation. Why do we need to be a nation? Well, it happens to be that the first thing that God tells Avraham Avinu at the beginning of Parashat Lech Lecha, okay, the very famous part which everyone quotes is Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'molodetcha u'mbeit avicha la'aretz asher areka. They'll go to the land, ve'escha sham legoy gadol, and there you will become a great nation. Ve'nivrechu becha kol mishpachot ha'adama, and the world will be blessed from you, through you. So that's what so the mission statement that Avraham Avinu gets is to go to the land of Israel in order to become a nation. And we need to be a nation. A nation has to have a place. And the place for this nation is the land of Israel. So if we say, listen, let's say we've got some kind of option of, the UN will say we're going to save you, and let's say we can trust them for that. Okay, this is all very imaginary, obviously. And they say, we'll protect you other places in the world, just give up living as a nation in the state of Israel. So someone would say, yeah, well, listen, okay, let's do that. If we're looking for the cheaper deal, let's do that. But then we're giving up being a nation. If we're giving up being a nation, we're giving up what God told Avraham Avinu originally to do. Not only what God told Avraham Avinu originally to do, we know Yetziat Mitzrayim is a lot about the beginning of the Jewish nation, of forming the original nation. That's Pharaoh is the first one to say, Hine Am Bnei Israel. But later on, when we receive the Torah, Shavuot, that we're going towards, God says, Hayom hazeh nihiyeta le'am. Now you're a proper nation. Now you're actually becoming a nation. There's still another the stage in order to reach the land of Israel. But what we see here is that the Torah is all about being a nation. The Torah is the Torah for the Jewish nation, for the Jewish people. Okay, there are a lot of things that individuals need to do, but many more things that we need to do as a nation. And the importance of that is it's a crucial thing for Judaism. Judaism that is disconnected from the national aspect of it is the Vilna Gaon said the Rakav Atzamot. It's I can't lost the word. Okay, it's a rotten bone. Okay, that's what it's all about. You lose so many aspects of Jewish life. Jewish life is about being a nation, and to be a nation, the only option that it can be is in the state of Israel, in the land of Israel, in the state of Israel. Okay, David HaMelech, when he's escaping from Shaul, and he has to go to Kiryat Gat. Kiryat Gat is the center of the land of Israel. But in those days, when he's leaving the area controlled by Shaul HaMelech to another area in the land of Israel, but that is controlled by the Plishtim, so David HaMelech says, Girshuni hayom mistapeach benachalat Hashem le'emor lech evod elokim acherim. He says, sending me out of the area that's controlled by the Jewish king to an area in the land of Israel that's controlled by non-Jew. He says, that's as if you're telling me to go and do idol worship. That's how bad it is. That's David HaMelech's understanding is that if it's not the state, okay, if you're not part of the Jewish state, it's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. When there were the debates before the Gerush from Gush Katif, before the disengagement, some people said, let's stay here we'll stay underneath the Palestinian Authority. No, it's not let alone the practical sides of it. Can it work, can't it work? Is it safe, not safe, and stuff like that. But you need to be in the Jewish state. There's an importance to be in the Jewish state. Because that's what the whole of Judaism is all about, that. Okay, it's something we need to... That comes through in the Gemara in a few places. Rabbi Chanin Achid Rabbi Yeshua, שהיה מעבר שנים וקובע חודשים, שהיה מעבר שנים וקובע שנים. Can't remember the exact date, but in Chutz La'aretz, the whole debate that they send after him and saying, that they tell him when he wants to do Kiddush HaChodesh in Chutz La'aretz, they tell him, no, it's only in Israel. Only in Israel. Chutz La'aretz, the Rambam says, according to the halacha, if there are no Jews in Israel, the Jewish calendar is unvalidated anymore. No more chagim, no nothing. That's it. Jewish life is coming to an end. Because it's all got to do with that there's first Jews in Israel, and beyond that there's a state in Israel. That's the higher level of it. That's the way it should be. Now, it's true that we're in a generation that for many years we did not have that option. And now that, again, this thing is returning, it's taking there's a price on the way, but not only is there a price on the way, we're getting used to it again. We need to learn again, how does that happen? How do we do that? How do we act with it? What are the different aspects about it? That's a few years ago. One of the first times I was traveling outside of Israel. I got a community for Shabbos, and they had some kind of guest lecturer over there. And they said that during Seudah Shlichit he's going to talk about the two main topics in the Jewish world nowadays. I said, well, I want to be there. I want to hear what he's speaking about. And then he said that the two most important, or the two topics which are most vibrant now in the Jewish world are the relationship between science and Torah, and what is the place here of woman in Judaism. And I was very surprised. I was very surprised because those are topics that in most Israeli Torah institutions, doesn't matter if it's boys' institutions, girls' institutions, that we deal with them, and there may be different people with different opinions about them, but it's a side topic. The main topics are how we're going to conduct the state of Israel. What's it about? Where's it going towards? How we're leading it? Where should it go? What should be the different relationships between different powers and different things inside the state of Israel? That's a major Jewish topic. Those are the main Jewish topics that are happening. But that's part of the explanation of what Chazal say, מיום שחרב בית המקדש, אין לקדוש ברוך הוא בעולמו אלא ד' אמות של הלכה. So basically it's saying, okay, the only thing that we have since the Churban and the exile are what does Daled Amot mean? Daled Amot means private quarters, your private area. Daled Amot, that's the area that kind of belongs to you. If you're stuck on the way, Shabbos comes in, Daled Amot is yours. Why? Why? Because that's the minimum. That's the minimum size that a person automatically owns, kind of thing. But that's in contradiction to the fact that beyond the Daled Amot, beyond the private quarters, there's the national areas. Everything all around, a lot of other topics of how do you run finance of a state, how do you run an army of a state, how do you invest in culture and in education and in medicine, and a lot of topics. All of those are major Jewish questions. Be'ezrat Hashem, soon that's the way we'll deal with these things. It will be out of perspective of Torah and Halacha and Jewish thought. We're not yet in the state of Israel, but these are the topics. These are the issues that we need to be dealing with, that we want to be dealing with. So this thing that these special people, God chose them to die as part of this, to be Chalalei Tzahal, part of establishing the state and maintaining the state. This is part of their value. Their value is the value of creating Jewish life again, full Jewish life. Still, we're not yet there. There's still a way to Beit HaMikdash and Sanhedrin and everything, but they're part of this journey. They're part of this amazing journey. There's Zecher, there's Zikaron, the Zikaron of these people. So it's their private Zikaron, and beyond their private Zikaron, it's the value of what it's all about. There's a line that they say in Hebrew often, on Yom HaZikaron, nearly every sermon you go to, you'll see, B'motam tzivu lanu et ha'chaim. In their death, they commanded us life. So unfortunately, some places, some people understand what's tzivu lanu et ha'chaim. They commanded us life. Let's have a good time. Let's chaim tovim, lekayef, to have fun, to go wild, to party. No, that's if they died just so that I can go and have a party and have a good time. That's very miserable. I don't know who would want to die so that someone else could go wild and hear music and jump up and down. No one wants to die for that. But what it means, b'motam tzivu lanu et ha'chaim, in their death, they said, yeah, go ahead, reach these values, lead the state to what it should be. Make the Jewish life what Jewish life should be, so it brings a blessing to the nation, to the world, to everything. That's what it's about. So when you go into Yom HaZikaron, while we're dealing with the values of each one of these individuals, we're also dealing with the value of Medinat Israel. The day after Yom HaZikaron, we're going to celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut. What is the value? What is it about? What are we celebrating? What's happening over here? Okay, so Yom HaZikaron, when we go to Yom HaZikaron, and they say close to 1.5 or 2 million people go to the cemeteries on Yom HaZikaron. It's a very special. It's a special event. You go to the cemeteries. You feel the air there of everyone together. That there's a national entity here. There's something national. There's a memshala. There's a Jewish state. And we stand there and we connect to the families and try and help whatever we can help the families. Try and help their families. So they all of these individual people, but they all belong to one much greater value. The value of Medinat Israel. Be'ezrat Hashem. Kol tov.